Just to explain, the reason why the Orchid Project can't be here today is that they have travelled, not quite sure where to, but to talk to the WHO about how female genital mutilation should be included as a health emergency. So they're doing good work. It's, yeah? Okay. So I read out the text. So, alarmed at the way overseas aid cuts are impacting women and girls, the National Council of Women, GB, calls upon governments and the international community to ensure that significant international development aid is provided for women and girls. Past NCWGB resolutions emphasise the need for women and girls' education and protection from female genital mutilation and cutting. NCWGB therefore calls for continued focus on equality in all overseas programmes, meaningful participation of women's organisations in decision-making on humanitarian aid budgets, funding for girls' education and for women-led organisations, including setting up emergency funding mechanisms. And following our strong concern about slow progress on ending FGM, and NCWGB also calls for inclusion of FGMC in international development agenda and gender equality strategies, ensuring it's prominently and consistently reflected in the next global development framework, which will succeed the Sustainable Development Goals, to receive the visibility and commitment needed to accelerate its elimination. Funding for community education and initiatives in regions where FGM remains prevalent, with the objective of eradicating this severe form of violence against women and girls. Prioritising girls' rights in laws and policies, including involving survivors in policy development and amplifying their voices. So as background, women-led and women's rights organisations are on the front lines today in humanitarian crises, but many are at risk of disappearing as global needs rise due to conflict, climate change and displacement. Deep cuts to foreign aid are threatening organisations that provide life-saving services for women and girls. In March 2025, the UN Women conducted a global survey to understand how funding reductions are affecting women-led organisations in crisis settings. The survey reached 411 organisations across 44 countries, and the results are alarming. 90% of respondents said their organisations were financially impacted. Nearly half expect to shut down within 6 months, and most have already reduced staff or suspended key services. A critical need. FGMC constitutes a severe violation of the human rights of women and girls, causing enduring physical pain and psychological distress. FGMC is the cause of entirely preventable 44,000 deaths of girls and young women in the affected countries because of population growth there, outgrowing efforts to prevent it, and aggravated by conflict and social instability. Increasing number of girls are becoming at risk of being attacked in this way. Besides FGM directly undermining the bodily integrity, health, confidence and well-being of women and girls, it also limits their contribution to society and obstructs the development of thriving economies and democratic societies. More than 12,000 girls a day are at risk and rising, and there are over 230 million survivors of this scourge, which deprives them of the human right to be free from torture and cruel, degrading or inhuman treatment. Most are in Africa, followed by Asia, then the Middle East. The resulting physical and psychological damage costs the health sector 1.4 billion in just under 10 countries. And I'm very happy to read out this statement for the Orchid Project in support of the resolution, because it actually makes me feel sick to think that this can be done to girls. And it's quite unimaginable. So, dear colleagues, we meet today at a moment when the rights of women and girls, and indeed many progressive agendas, are facing pushback across the globe. We have seen multiple examples of that in the last 2 years, one of them notably being the efforts to reverse the ban on female genital mutilation in the Gambia. At the same time, we are witnessing severe funding cuts by key donors, cuts that are undermining decades of progress and hard-won achievements. Women-led organisations who are on the front lines of crisis response are at risk of disappearing just when they are needed most. It is against this backdrop that this resolution is brought forward. The resolution reaffirms our collective commitment to ensuring that women and girls remain at the centre of international development, and that the work to support that is adequately funded. This includes equality in all programmes, meaningful participation of women and girls organisations in decision-making, and adequate funding for girls' education and women-led groups, with emergency funding mechanisms in place. The resolution also places a particular focus on female genital mutilation and cutting. It is one of the most severe violations of human rights and one of the worst forms of gender-based violence. As mentioned, each year 44,000 girls and young women die as a direct result of it. More than 12,000 girls a day are at risk, with over 230 million living with its consequences in 94 countries. The pain, trauma, and lifelong health consequences are entirely preventable, yet they persist, rooted in deep-seated patriarchy and sustained by systemic failure to prioritise, fund, and commit the necessary resources. Already drastically underfunded, with the funding gap is close to $3 billion, FGMC presentation and response programmes are at risk of further deprioritisation in the face of recent foreign aid budget cuts and competing global priorities. Therefore, we must recognise FGM for what it truly is, a global health emergency and a pandemic of violence against women and girls. Until we do so, it will be sidelined and under-resourced, while we need to ensure it is prioritised on the global development agenda and embedded in the framework to succeed the Sustainable Development Goals. This resolution is a call to government and the international community not to turn their backs on women and girls, but to stand with them in true allyship, solidarity, and support at this critical time of need.
Thank you, Anne. I'm now going to ask Anna O'Driscoll to join us online to second the resolution, and then Jackie Taylor will also second it.
Hello? Is everyone able to hear me?
Lovely, you're there.
Yeah, okay. I'm very pleased today to second this important resolution. It crucially highlights the devastating impact the recent cuts to foreign aid have had on women and girls worldwide, particularly those at risk of FGM. The World Health Organization estimates that more than 230 million women and girls alive today have undergone FGM, a severe violation of their human rights and a cause of lasting health consequences. By directing funding to women-led organizations and including FGM in international development strategies, we can help protect girls and move towards lasting gender equality worldwide. This resolution calls for decisive global action, and I fully support it. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. And now Jackie, you'd like to second as well.
morning, everyone. Madam President, executive members, members and guests, it's great to be here. We are the voice of the voiceless. We are the drivers of change. We are the antagonists. The mutilation of women is a safeguarding issue that we cannot and will not allow to continue. Underinvestment, the withdrawal of investment, no investment when it comes to women is a false economy. And that's why I stand here today to say that I second this resolution with pride. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jackie. Excellent, and within time, a model resolution. So thank you so much. Can I open the floor to comments and discussion, please? Yes, Adele. There's a microphone, Adele, if you wouldn't mind just waiting.
Thank you. I just wanted to say that at a time where there are so many global funding cuts, that this is really, really the time to echo what's been said here today and really fight back as women for women all around the world, those women who really don't have the voice that we have. So that's all that I wanted to say.
Thank you. Any other observations or thoughts or questions to the proposers? Oh, if you say who you are and where you're from. Thank you.
Gillian Poole from Darlington branch. This subject has been on our horizon for years and years. I've been attending seminars and meetings about it, and it's so frustrating. What are we going to do about it? What can we do about it? We have met with nothing but resistance from the patriarchy around this function. I remember we had a meeting many years ago with some of the people who were living here in Darlington, and we invited a lot of people from Eastern countries to join us, and some of them did. But the women were only allowed to come if their husbands came too. And that was just an ordinary meeting. And we invited the women, we asked, would they be able to come to our meetings? And they said no, the men would not allow them to come to our meetings unchaperoned, as they said. So I'm afraid I'm just feeling rather frustrated, and well, we must all be horrified that nothing seems to work. Thank you.
Thank you, Gillian. If you could just remember to hold the microphone up to your mouth when you're speaking, please.
Yes, thanks very much. I think we're all shocked and distressed and depressed about it. This resolution gives us the opportunity to prioritise it when we're speaking at the Commission on the Status of Women and elsewhere internationally, which is where I think the effort needs to be made. But also, you know, around the edges, we take the opportunity wherever we can, you know, to light a candle rather than curse the dark. So we just had a meeting last week with the Dove Foundation for Global Change, and they are currently working in Africa, providing period products for girls So because the Orchid Project is an associate of ours, what we were able to do is get in touch with them and suggest to them maybe they would like to work with this foundation in order to provide their education programs simultaneously and synergize in that way. Because the positive thing is that the education programs do work and can be rolled out by trained women in the communities where they live. And they are having success. The problem is that because of the population growth, the number of girls at risk is increasing.
Thank you, Anne. I think the point about in passing this resolution, we as an organisation will be able to spread the word about it in the international community as well, is a very important one. Our links with the International Council of Women and the European Council are increasingly strengthened, and they will, I think, take a lot of influence from the resolutions that we pass here today. So thank you for making that point. Any other comments? I haven't got any online. None that I can see. Okay, if there aren't any other comments or observations, we can, oh, sorry, Keith. Yes, we have, I'll read this out. So Bharti Patel has commented, this is an important issue, but very complex to address as it cuts across the political, social, cultural, and economic might of countries. Not that this should stop the discussions and campaigns, working across country borders in partnership without being judgmental, but listening to people from a diverse sector. So I think that's a very useful comment. It emphasizes how complex this issue is and how it is political, social, and cultural, which makes it increasingly difficult or doubly difficult to address. Okay, so we'll move to vote on this resolution in its entirety. So no amendments to it, no suggested changes. So we've got some votes that have been sent in ahead of time, and we will do a vote on a show of hands. So just to remind you, anyone who's here who's not an actual member of NCW can't vote, but everybody else can. So can I just have a show of hands, please, in favour of the resolution? Yes, Sheila, if you wouldn't mind counting for me. Oh yes, and online, thank you. Could I ask those of you online to show your little yellow hand, if you agree? Or put your hand up, whichever is easier. Lovely, thank you. Okay, Sheila, did you get a count? Lovely, thank you. Are there any votes against the resolution in the room or online? No? Or any abstentions? No, lovely. So that resolution is passed unanimously. Thank you very much indeed. I think that's a very important one, and will give us a real meat to our discussions about female genital mutilation as we go forward as an organisation. Thank you.